Hey guys, Ash Intelligence. Welcome to the video. Sending some love, some positive vibes your way, especially if you need them out there today. Guys, I want to get right to the point today. Right to the point. A rarity for yours truly. I want to talk about, honestly, probably the most important artifact tip I can give you. This applies to new players, to intermediate, players who've been playing the game for a little bit of time, and even to the veterans out there, because the number one comment that I get, the number one question I get in every single video almost is, Ash, I just pulled X or Y champion. How do I build them? What is the best gear set for them? Now listen, this video started as a tier list, an artifact set tier list. I saw that Cruisen put out a very good tier list. It's like an hour and a half, but it's actually worth your time to check out. And I think the tier lists hold a lot of value here. This is the hellhades.com tier list, by the way, so shout out to hellhades.com. Ooh, interesting how they have Mercurial in S tier. I actually just looking at to see that it had the new sets, and it does. I would put that in the SS personally. Either way, though, my point is I to trash the idea of doing an updated artifact tier list today, because I ranked like 20 sets off camera. And then I thought to myself, there's a lot of utility that you can get out of crappy sets. And I feel like the question, after free gear removal, the question of what is the best set for this champion is the wrong question to be asking for every player out there. Now it's, what is the right set for the situation? What is the correct set for this situation? Even in PvP. It's not always cut and dry. Sometimes curveballs can be the difference maker, especially if you're facing stronger accounts with better gear. Sometimes an unorthodox or an outside-the-box thinking, when they zig, maybe you zag, can be the difference that allows you to walk away with victories that maybe on paper you shouldn't. Let me give you some examples here, guys. First of all, one more note on tier lists. I mean, your boy's the king of ranking in tier lists, right? So I can't talk smack at all. There's a lot of utility in tier lists because when we talk about artifacts and accessories on our accounts, there is a threshold. We can only hold so many artifacts and accessories on our accounts, right? So there ought to be, every player, no matter where you are in the game, beginner or veteran, there's going to be kind of a quality bar, right? You're not going to have a lot of good life gear unless it's a quad roll for endgame players. A new player, you might be keeping a lot of life gear. But what I'm trying to say was 64 sets in the game right now? 64 sets in the game. You have to have some sort of a threshold where you will keep gear from crappier sets, but you only have 2,000 spots for your gear. So you do have to make tough decisions. And knowing how generally strong a set is, how widely used it's going to be on your account, is important. Thus, there is a space for tier lists and understanding which artifact sets you're not really going to be using a lot of. So again, it does matter. But the whole point in today's video is I think a lot of players approach this game in way too cookie cutter of a fashion. Okay, I pulled Marius. He's going to go in lethal gear and that's it. Or he's going to go in Slayer gear and that's it. I saw Scratch put out a video on Marius where he's running protection gear on Marius, a super fast Marius. The point is there's so many different ways to build a champion, and you need to take advantage of that to make strides in PvE and win more matches in PvP. Let me give you a couple examples. I showed on a random Ninja Turtle video a while back, I showed my Michelangelo, and people were like, wow, Ash, why do you have Mikey in Swift Parry? Why do you have Mikey in Swift Parry, right? He already has some built-in evade, which is really nice. But the reason is, and again, this is because I run an all Ninja Turtles team. I'm not saying this is the best build. The whole point of the video is there is no best build on most champions in the game. But the reason is very simple, right? Swift Parry gear, people obviously just got to rework. It's not in the game at the time of this recording yet. But the old Swift Parry gear, people threw shade at it. It's just RNG, it's crap. Maybe for Carnage, nobody else. Honestly, Swift Parry gear, I kind of like Swift Parry gear even before the buff, because when we go to Leo, go to his passive, right? His third passive, if you're running an all Ninja Turtles team, I know not everybody has Ninja Turtles, it's just an example, right? Activates this skill when an ally's HP drops below 50% and that ally is still alive. So you need them to take a lot of damage, but stay alive. So that Swift Parry can be the difference of getting the activation and not just a death on the turtles together and deleting the entire enemy team, right? So what I'm trying to say is there's always going to be a situation that you, no matter who you have on your account, that you can utilize unorthodox builds. Let me give you a few more examples, right? Obviously, this one might be pretty obvious to you guys, but I love retaliation gear. I mentioned it a few times here on the channel. But champions with really strong A1s, like put down on Fenax, enemies killed by this cannot be revived. I mean, we love retaliation. Why not? Why not put some retaliation on there to get those counterattacks and delete the enemy? Not going to be best in every situation, of course, but there are situations that this can be the difference maker on your champion. Let me give you a great example here, right? How about Necmo Thar, right? And these are just random examples that I thought of, champions that, man, there is no right set on these champions. Necmo Thar, you can run this dude in all perception. You can run him in all speed. You can run them so many different ways, a combination of perception and speed, maybe impulse if you have it, whatever, right? But check this out. Look at my gear sets and make sure you use, please, guys, I implore you guys. I've mentioned it so many times before, but make sure you're using your preset manager. This was low-key one of the best updates after free gear removal, of course. And free gear removal, by the way, made all of this possible. Back in the day, especially new players, I am jealous of you. You don't know how arduous and awful life was. Gather around, boys and girls, to story time with Ash. Back in my day, we had to pay millions and millions and millions and millions of silver. Millions of silver. Just to remove artifacts from our champions. No longer is that day. Thus, we take advantage by using our champion presets. That way, every situation, we are ready to go. So I have a 9-piece Pharaoh build. I'll just put it on. Doesn't cost me silver, right? On a champion that dishes out 3 debuffs on AoEs. That can be tons of extra damage for my team, especially in longer battles. Allies deal 5% more damage from each debuff placed by the wearer. That's fantastic, right? But might not be what I need in every situation. How about a stun set? Well, obviously, right? Stun sets, well, that's going to be great for wave content, right? Now we have an 18% chance to place a stun for 1 turn. Obviously, artifacts don't need accuracy to place their debuffs as well. A note for new players. I know most players are like, okay, Ash, we get it, bro. We know that. How about provoke sets? Nobody talks about provoke sets. Nobody loves provoke sets. Well, I do, damn it, right? I've shared some really crazy builds with provoke sets here on the channel that players actually still use. I still hear about my Mithrala provoke set build that I shared, gosh, a year or 2 ago here on the channel, right? 30% chance to place a provoke for 1 turn. That's fantastic against Hydra Clan Boss, right? If I don't have a provoker on my team, now I got a dude who just dishes out AoEs and AoEs and AoEs. 30% might not sound like a lot, but when your team is moving a hell of a lot faster than the Hydras, you can land that provoke on the head of Decay pretty often before they take a turn, right? How about, you can see here, these are just my presets, by the way. I didn't make these just for the video, right? How about a curse set? I might need a curse set. I might need that Hex debuff. Hex lends millions and millions of extra damage, and that could be the difference between you upgrading that chest, getting that max score in Hydra Clan Boss, getting those Hex debuffs on an AoE. So especially champions with AoEs on their A1s. Mother Cybele's another one, right? There's a lot of them out there, though. Get extra utility out of these champions that already bring a lot of utility just with that AoE on their A1 ability. And then what else do I have here? I think I had another one too. Curse set, Relentless set. Why not get extra turns out of my Necmo Thar? Okay, let me go to another champion here. I think Harima, right, is probably not the best example of Defiant gear, which is a Forge Pass set. But people think Defiant is the trashiest Forge Pass set. And obviously, I hear you. But there is a place for sets like this in the game too, right? Even a sleep set, a days set. If you're struggling with wave content, it's not the worst set. You can work around it if you're going manual, right? So even the crappy ass sets here on these tier lists can provide utility. How about, how about a toxic set? Toxic set can be great on Faction Wars Hard when you need to dish out those poisons to get the 3-star, right? In Faction Wars Hard. A lot of these sets can help you in Faction Wars to get those 3 stars. That way you can eventually get your hands on Polara Fireheart. Okay, bad example. But Defiant gear, right? You can make a super tanky champion. Harima already has Ignore Defense, Mitigation, Inner Passive. Super unique, super strong champion. Why not rock a little Defiant? Less damage from AoE attacks. Now she's tough to kill, right? Can also explore the same idea on a champion with perfect veils. Maybe a Roxanne, maybe a Predator, champions like that. Defiant gear has an interesting and niche, albeit niche place in the game. Hey, you might be saying, Ash, I don't like Defiant, bro. I don't have Defiant. I don't care about Defiant. All right, cool. How about Frostbite? I love me some Frostbite curveballs, right? So I don't even know if I have that much good Frostbite gear. I've been meaning to actually farm more in the Doom Tower. Where do I have it? Here we go. You know what? Let's throw on some Frostbite. Honestly, guys, I love me some Frostbite gear. It's a 2-piece set. We have a chance of blocking freeze in a freeze-heavy meta, and a 10% chance to place freeze debuffs on the attacker. That's fantastic, especially on champions that, I don't know, have or provoke. They're going to be attacked quite a bit, right? So what I'm trying to say here, guys, I think I've made my point, hopefully. You know, I even talked about Marius and Slayer sets and everything like that. We talked about them briefly, but this applies to almost every champion on your account. There is no best build on a champion. There's a best build in an area. And I feel like when you think inside a narrow lensed box, that makes no sense at all.
I saw you with the box. What was in the box?
Because I am.
What's in the box? What's in the box?
I think that's where you're really limiting yourself in this game. This is the biggest artifact tip that I can possibly give you guys. There is no best set for most of the times, right? Even think about popular sets. My final point, you guys know how much I love Relentless sets, right? Relentless is one of the strongest sets in the entire game. Chance of getting an extra turn is absolutely bonkers. They've had to nerf this set several times. It's so strong, right? Keep your eye out for tournaments that you can get Relentless gear in, because Relentless gear, I think, is one of the most powerful sets in PvE and in PvP. It can be an insane difference maker, right? You can beat whales, krakens. I know because I've been beaten, right? And I'm a kraken. I spend a lot of money in this game. But players have thrown curveballs at me like Frostbite, like Relentless sets, getting that extra turn at a crucial moment in the attack, and they won a match that maybe on paper they weren't supposed to. Vegas odds had them at plus 700, and they walked away with a boatload of money because they took me down, right? So I implore you guys to try to think outside the box, right? You're not going to be able to necessarily Google search or YouTube search the best build on any champion. Just think for yourselves. Look at all the gear that you have. Still care about things like tier lists, but ultimately find the best build for the situation, and don't be afraid to be a bit unorthodox and zig when everybody else zags. Thank you for watching the video, guys. Much love, and as always, take care.